Okay, so in this video I want to talk about getComponent and how to actually get the component of an object. So as you know, in the hierarchy we have different game objects. We have our human, our main camera, our alien. Okay, we know that, and we know that a game object, for example our alien, has different components. Has the transform component, has a script. The script is also a component. It's a special type of component, but it's a component. And then we know that our human, for example, has a sprite render component. So how do we actually access a component of a game object? So we've done it. If you think about our human, we have accessed the transform component of the human, and the way we did it was by saying transform.position. That's how we accessed the transform component of the human. For example, in here we have a camera game object, and the camera game object has a camera component. So it has a camera component and it has a script component. So inside the main class we have a reference to a component, and the way we create a reference to a component is by actually typing in the type of component. So the type of component is a camera, right? This is a class, it's a type of component, and then we type in the variable, and this is how we create a reference. This is not a public reference because it doesn't have to be a public reference. It can be a private reference. And inside the start method, we say that the camera is equal to getComponent camera. What we're doing here is that we're actually getting the camera component of the camera. So we're gonna do something similar to this with our human. So we're gonna go and check our human. So we have our human here, and our human has a sprite renderer. So if we access the sprite renderer from the code, we can actually change the color of our human. So how do we do this? Okay, so let's go back to Visual Studio and let's go to our human class. And here in our human class, the first thing that we need to do to get access to its component is to create a reference to that component. So the way we create a reference, as I told you before, is to type in the name of the component and then just a name. So this is the type of component that we're trying to access, and we're gonna call it SP, for example. And now we have to do something inside the start method. So we have to declare first of all the start method for the human class. We did not declare it before. So now we have our start method, and inside here, so when the game starts, we want to say that SP is equal to getComponent. So we're gonna get a component. Then you have to open and close these. So the greater than and less than, you have to use them. I don't know how you call these signs, but you have to put them in here. And inside here you have to just type in a sprite renderer like this, and outside you just open and close parentheses. And you might be asking, okay, so why do we have to write it like this? Because it's just how you write it. That's the way it is. So SP is equal to getComponent sprite renderer. So here we're accessing, but the format is the same. If you want to access any other component, it's the same way. It's just that the transform component is a special type of component, and you don't have to say getComponent. Just by typing in transform, you get access to the transform component of a game object. Okay, so now we have set the SP is equal to getComponent. We have set the reference to the value. This is the value, this is the reference, the SP is the reference, and getComponent is the value. Okay, so now that we have declared that, now we can change at the start of the game. So before we start moving to the right, we want to change the color of the square. So we say SP, now we can say SP dot, and then we can type in color, for example, color like this. So SP.color, so the color of the sprite. So when we're saying SP.color, basically we're saying this. We're here, select the human, and here in the sprite renderer, we're saying SP, so SP is equal to this sprite renderer now. So SP.color, so we're using the dot format to access the field of the component. So we're saying SP.color equals, and then we're going to call the color class. So color dot, and let's change it to a green color, for example, green. Now add in a semicolon, save, and now if everything goes right at the start of the game, the color of the square should change to green. Okay, so go to the Unity editor, hit play, and you should see that the square changed to green and it moves to the right. Perfect. So now we know how to actually access a component of a game object and make some changes to it. And the same logic applies to any single component that you add here in Unity. Here you can see that we have a button called Add Component. And here you can see many different types of components. In fact, there are lots and lots of types of components, and the same rule applies to every single component except for the transform component that, as I said before, is a special type of component that every game object has by default. Okay, so that's it gonna be for this video, and in the next section we'll start making the game. So I'll see you in the next video.